How's the software going on the mixed reality headset?
I don't know anything about what you're talking about.
Apple certainly likes to work in secret, but no matter how good Federici is at dodging the question, the cat is out of the bag. The past few years we've been constantly hearing rumors about Apple working on some sort of AR/VR headset. And just a couple of days ago we also got a tiny bit more information. The name of the OS powering the headset. But it's not just the rumors pointing that direction. A lot of Apple's projects the past few years show how much they're interested in mixed reality. Even Federici is not afraid to admit that.
What do you think of mixed reality?
I think it's got a lot of potential. I think it deserves exploration.
So let's see what we know so far about Apple's mythical headset. Is it a good idea for Apple to get into AR and VR, or are they going to shoot themselves in the foot? Let's talk about it. Just going through Apple's projects of the past couple of years, it's obvious that they've put a lot of time and effort into mixed reality. Slowly but surely, they've been chipping away at all the different pieces of this complex puzzle. The evidence is overwhelming. First off, all of Apple's mobile devices of the past 5 or so years, probably more now that I think about it, are AR ready. So we can use an iPhone or an iPad to preview a 3D object in the real world. And since Quick Look, the technology behind the feature, is so deeply embedded into the OS, any application can take advantage of this AR functionality. Shaper 3D, Procreate, UMake are just a few of these apps that take advantage of this functionality. The results we can get out of Quick Look are really good. Everything we might need is there. We can scale up or down a 3D object, rotate it, and of course move around it. The tracking of the environment is incredibly stable, so the virtual object doesn't jump around. And it's worth noting that Quick Look is advanced enough to allow not just static models, but also animation and sound. Apple even uses Quick Look on its own website. If an iPhone or iPad is detected, a link will appear underneath the product and will let us preview how the object might look in our own space, which comes in handy when trying to figure out dimensions. But Quick Look is only part of the equation. Apple has built a whole host of AR and VR tools. For example, with the Reality Composer and very little effort, we can build rich experiences that use animations and interactions between virtual and real objects. And with Reality Kit 2, the realism is bumped to a whole new level. For example, the LiDAR scanner standard on all high-end iPhones and iPads can be used to make the blending of real and virtual objects more convincing. So the virtual object can be underneath a table or behind a wall, and so on and so forth. And with the support of physically based materials and post effects like motion blur and depth of field, the virtual objects will look more like they're part of the environment. And all that is handled in real time through a small device such as a phone. It's incredible to see, and it's obvious there's quite a bit of development time dedicated to make all this work so well. Apple's tools span the whole AR and VR workflow, from beginning to end. They've built, for example, their own 3D file format, USDZ, which is based on Pixar's USD format. USDZ supports more than regular formats like FBX. FBX stores only an object's material or animation data, which is only a tiny fraction of what is needed for AR. USDZ allows Apple to package a ton more information like spatial audio, anchoring, and much more. And it packs all that in one archive file, making things easier to distribute. This whole development would be impressive enough on its own, but Apple went a step further and also created a complete photogrammetry SDK that any developer can hook onto. And the scanned results are stunning. The SDK provides a lot of flexibility with options for low, medium, and high-res results, and automatic creation of all necessary maps like normal, diffuse, and roughness. They've also made it incredibly easy to use a phone to capture an object, and the processing that currently happens only on the computer side is also really fast and specifically optimized for Apple's own processors. Apple has also built a lot of other small features that will probably be used in one way or another on the headset. For example, spatial audio. Currently, all of Apple's headphones support it, and my guess is it will be there on the headset from day one. There's also the whole face tracking and motion capturing workflow that they've built for iPhones and iPads, which is something that will probably have some role on the headset. In my eyes, all these developments show that Apple is actively working on some type of mixed reality project, and they're preparing all the necessary pieces they might need. In a way, they're getting all their ducks in a row. Seeing all this preparation, I get the feeling that Apple has the potential to knock it out of the park. But at the same time, Apple has also the tendency to fumble things up. So who knows? It's a toss-up. So I think this is the perfect point to expand on both scenarios. Why the headset could be the best headset ever, and why it could also be a complete disaster. Let's see things in more detail. I think one of the main reasons Apple's headset has the potential to be a great device is the fact that they control both software and hardware. Companies usually do one of the two. They might build their own custom software or even skin an already existing solution and just grab the hardware components they might need from third parties. But Apple can do both. They build their own SoCs, they design the hardware, and they also build the software. And on top of that, they have the capital to use third parties in order to custom build and order components according to their needs. So with that in mind, my guess is that Apple will build a highly customized chip specifically targeting areas they want their mixed reality headset to excel at. Similar to how well the M series performs at certain tasks like video encoding and decoding. Another benefit of Apple's custom-built SoCs is the fact that they're incredibly energy efficient, which is really important for a product that will rest on your head for long periods of time. So chances are we won't have to deal with a bulky and heavy device. And given the fact that Apple will also design the whole look and feel of the device, we're probably going to get something more elegant than Microsoft's HoloLens. This could also have a huge impact. Apple's business strategy is different than Facebook's, or I should say Meta. Apple's strategy involves selling as many hardware devices as possible. Meta, on the other hand, doesn't really care about hardware. The hardware is just going to be the Trojan horse that will let Meta get to their main business, and that's the user's data. For Meta, the user is the product, which in turn leads to a vastly different user experience. Meta's approach for the metaverse will probably be similar to Facebook, the site. Facebook's main focus is how to keep the user on the site for as long as possible, so all the experiences built for the headset will center around that. On the other hand, Apple's focus will be completely different. They will zero in on making the hardware as desirable as possible. So they'll try to cater to users' needs. They'll strive to create experiences and interactions that will make the device hard to resist. In this scenario, both sides win, the company and the user. In Meta's approach, there's quite an imbalance, and the company ends up having the upper hand. I get the feeling that the headset will have an incredible ecosystem of content and applications. It could be similar to what we've witnessed when the App Store launched on the iPhone. There was this immediate explosion of beautiful, useful, and experimental applications. The reason I think the ecosystem will flourish is because Apple has already done a lot of the legwork, so developers and content creators will be able to just jump in and get their content ready for the headset. I'm sure there's a ton of stuff missing or not working as expected, but the prep work done already is a good indication. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Now, let's see the other side, why it could be a complete disaster. When Apple enters a new market, it's a bit of a toss-up. They can have instant hits like the iPhone where they immediately get almost every single thing right from the get-go, and they also have products that are more iterative, like the first Apple Watch. With the Apple Watch, it was obvious that they didn't know exactly where they wanted to go. Apple Watch is a great product now, but it took a few generations to get there. The first gen showed great potential, but it was all over the map. It was going on all sorts of different directions, not showing a cohesive vision. So I'm a little bit afraid that this could be the case with the mixed reality headset. If they don't have an individual with a strong vision to drive the whole project, they might end up in this same situation, trying to do a little bit of everything, the throw things against the wall approach to see what sticks. This doesn't mean that they won't get there in the end, but the first few years might be a little bit of a bumpy ride. I'm usually very afraid of first-gen products, especially Apple's first-gen products, because they tend to have issues that went unnoticed in the testing phase. The iMac DV, for example, had the first generation of slot loading drives. After a while, the eject mechanism stopped working properly, so it was incredibly hard to eject a CD or DVD. It got fixed in subsequent updates, but if you were one of the unlucky guinea pigs like I was, you didn't have the best experience possible. Or let's take the titanium PowerBook. It was the first time Apple worked with this material, so their experience was limited. The result, the sweat from the user's hands was enough to chip off the paint. And guess what? I had that laptop and I've witnessed that problem firsthand. Or how about the first gen unibody iMacs? It was the first time they tried this design and the hinge supporting the screen would break after a while. I had that problem as well. You could go to an Apple store and fix that without any extra cost, but you can see the pattern. The first gen products can be problematic. Will I get Apple's first gen headset? Probably yes, but I made peace with the fact that I most likely will be the guinea pig. I think it's safe to say that one of the main features of a VR and AR headset is gaming, and Apple is notoriously bad at that. I'm not talking about performance here. Apple just doesn't understand the gaming industry at all. Bungie, for example, was one of the most hardcore Apple developers ever, and Apple just didn't know what to do with them. And we all know what happened to Bungie. Microsoft bought them and they ended up creating Halo, one of the most successful and highly acclaimed games ever. Apple also dipped its toes on gaming consoles with the Pippin. That was another complete disaster. Of course, it's a little bit unfair because the Apple of the 90s was a completely different company, but even nowadays it's obvious that Apple just doesn't get gaming. They tried a couple of things with the Apple TV, but hard limitations on game size and controllers soured a lot of developers who were interested in the platform. They fixed all of these issues, but it took way more time than anyone would have expected. And don't get me started on Apple's gaming hub, Game Center. It's just slightly better than Nintendo's solution, but that's a pretty low bar we're setting here. So I think Apple's headset might not reach its full potential if games are missing from the platform. Of course, it remains to be seen whether this thing will be a success or not. It could very well be the case that we won't see anything related to mixed reality from Apple, but I don't think that's the case. I think it's just a matter of time before we get some real information from Apple. I'm certainly looking forward to it, mainly because I feel they will lean more on the mixed reality side of things rather than full-on VR, which is a strategy I happen to agree with. But what do you think? Is this thing real? And if it is it going to be any good? Let me know in the comments below. And that's about it for this video. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.